Hi, good morning, Prathima.
Morning.
It's really wonderful to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for making the time on a very busy schedule that you have visiting us this time around. For those of you who have not had the opportunity as yet to meet either of us in person, my name is Malliga. I'm the CHRO for ITC Infotech, and I have the privilege of engaging in a conversation with Prathima Hegde, who is the head of corporate applications at Tropicana. And I'm sure that there are so many facets of her thoughts, her ideas, her values that I look forward to unpacking in this short segment as we move ahead. We were just chatting, Prathima, and it would be lovely to start with a bit of a background on your career, the choices that you've made, and what's led you to being the head of corporate applications at Tropicana.
Sure. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. So thank you for taking time to talk to me. What led to where I am here? I've been in this industry for almost 2 decades. And how I got into this industry is almost an accident. When I was graduating from my master's, we were going through a Harshad Mehta scandal. So there were only 2 industries recruiting. One was pharma, the other was technology. So as I got into technology, because my dad was already in pharma, I didn't want to be in his circle. So I wanted some freedom. I got into something which is unknown at that time, which is technology. So took a risk and got into pre-sales and spent some time learning the product I'm selling, which happens to be SAP. And there were not enough technologists to do the work. So got an opportunity to not only sell, but also support the product. And then that changed my career. So I worked for Siemens. That's where I started my roots in Mumbai. And then I had an opportunity to go to Middle East, worked in Dubai. Then I had an opportunity to work in United States, started with Goldman Sachs as a client, and then went to working for carve-outs like Hospira, which was a spin-off from Abbott, and then joined Abbott themselves and spent there almost 10, 11 years. So I always say I grew up at Abbott as a leader and had an opportunity to work for Jones Lang LaSalle before joining Tropicana. Which is another very exciting journey we are on, carving out from a large Pepsi $80 billion company to be a startup. And we are a legacy of 125 years. And to be able to have that startup and take the organization to the next level is a very exciting opportunity.
That's fantastic. You were sharing with me earlier that, very, very jokingly on a lighter note, that looking back, your career seems to be a series of mistakes and more accidents rather, not mistakes. But looking back, right, I think a lot of women do navigate their journey based on choices available, options available, and you always make the best choice that you think based on the information you have at that point of time.
Yes.
What advice would you offer for people making those transitional choices?
So it is, it's opportunities, right? It's being at the right time, right place is most things happen. And also being there with the right attitude to say that yes. And I still clearly remember the conversation where one of our delivery leads asked the question, you came from Hyderabad to Mumbai, could you not come to Dehradun to work on this project? And I said, yes, I can. And that started my journey of traveling across India and taking on different opportunities. Because once I'm away from home, it didn't really matter. And the same thing went to going to Dubai to say, hey, if I'm away from home, Dubai didn't really make a difference. So I kind of went on taking those opportunities and saying yes, and figuring out how to make that happen has given me lots of opportunity.
That's a beautiful, beautiful theme to leave us with, right? Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Which is to be able to say, yes, I will do it.
And I'll figure out how to
I'll figure out how to get there.
And I will recruit the support I need to get there.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of people you need to support to make things happen. It's your team, it's your family, whatever you're looking at. So yes, and is the theme.
Is your theme. That's a beautiful, beautiful way of looking at it. How do you think about the landscape for women leaders as it evolves? You spoke about what it was like when you started your career and how it's evolved from then, but where do you see it going ahead?
just to going back a little bit, right? One of the things which is very key for us to survive or persist or thrive is resilience. Like showing up every day is very, very important for every person, every leader. So it's the same even for the women, right? To show up every day, even when it is tough, to be there, and then figuring out rather than getting overwhelmed. So if you look at what's happening in the future is, I see more women in the leadership. It's more than we had when we started our career. That means there is more mentorship. So you are able to see, follow, guide, take guidance to get to that place. I also see more women means there's more diversity in the thought, in the decision making. We bring more inclusive culture. We're more collaborative by nature. We are nurturers by nature. Those are our strengths. So when we bring those, so we are able to not only bring the analytical, because we are in IT, so there's a lot of engineers we have. We're also able to bring that, the soft skills. So we are able to be that holistic approach to the leadership. And I see as more women come, we will not be having conversations very soon about this is a leader, woman leader. We're just going to have a conversation about leader because we will bring that in. Yeah.
No, and that's a beautiful space of, I would say, inflection, right, that we sit at, which is where I was at a conversation yesterday where we were speaking about the fact that a lot of things are gender agnostic, right? Expectations of a role are gender agnostic.
Correct.
The style will vary.
Correct.
But expectations remain the same.
Correct.
Right? And to be able to evolve to a space where things are gender agnostic in conversation as well is what you're speaking to, which is not labeling women leader. Yesterday, women chef. Women this, right? But to do that takes a lot of individuals to come together to have a lot of passion in this space. Right? And you are, I know, extremely passionate. And what sparked your passion here?
I think people are one of the things that's my strength. I'm able to, my super talent is find the right talent for the right role is my super talent, and get them to be their best. It is by giving them either their purpose or how do you get there. So I think I enjoyed that people side of the business so much. The technology is there. We're always solving problems. So I think those are some of the things which keeps me going every day. There's something new. I mean, especially technology industry, there's new every day. So it's a continuous learning and curiosity, and the ability to have an impact. When you look back and say, this is what we left with. And it is not just on the revenue, the bottom line, but also on the people. Like, as a woman leader, in a way, you inspire a lot of people just by doing your own job. Because they look up to you and say, if she can do it, maybe there's an opportunity for me to do it. So it's a joy of giving is fantastic.
So it comes from a space of personal, I would say, gratitude for having come as far as you have and continue to rise and lift others as you go along.
A lot of people have taken a lot of chances. And I always think it's the question of, don't make an assumption and ask. I think is one of the things, right, to say. And I remember the question, would you be okay to travel? It's a question directly asked to me rather than assuming that she won't be able to travel. Right? I think the more we ask the question, because sometimes the empathy means we understand, oh, this woman just had a baby, she may not be willing to travel. Just ask. She might want a break from the baby, so she might want to travel, right? And you're always asking this single woman to travel versus she might want to sit down because she wants to have something on her personal side, right? So not making an assumption, having a conversation really helps.
And that dialogue happens gender agnostic, right? It happens whether your ecosystem is male or your ecosystem is female. And I think it's a beautiful point that you make, that it is important to not leave things to assumption. It is important to actively engage in dialogue. Some of those dialogues may be difficult,
Yes.
So it's important to build those muscles to start getting comfortable.
Yes.
Right? Because you enable an ecosystem at work, you enable an ecosystem at home.
Yes.
To be able to say yes and.
Yes, and.
All of that comes together beautifully.
Exactly. And you know, if you look at what makes people do things differently is from where I started is today, if I were to give an advice to myself younger, don't wait for that question to be asked. Go ahead and share that, hey, I'm open to travel. I'm open for new assignment. Yeah. Even though I had a baby, I'm still looking to continue on my career journey, right? Yeah. I would encourage people to share. And again, it is not just for women, it's for both. It's for both.
Absolutely.
Share your aspirations.
Actually, especially as the landscape evolves and caregiving responsibilities share and shift consistently, the question does need to be asked to all genders involved, right?
Yes,
to say,
because it's we are trying to create a level playing field. So don't make an assumption that the men are open to travel because their spouse may be traveling.
Yeah.
Like I'm here, so my husband has to be at home, holding the home front.
But in that context, right, organizations are constantly looking to not just elevate the dialogue, but also create that level playing field to be able to have the right policies that allow these ecosystems to flourish and become business as usual, essentially.
Correct.
In your view, how do you see organizations moving beyond surface level lip service, right, if I may, and really get to the heart of solving things? Some perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good business, right? Like every leader, what do we want? We want to succeed. We want to have that impact. And as leader, how can we have an impact? Only when our teams perform well. And how do our teams perform well? When they have great creative thinking. How does that great creative thinking come from diversity of thought? And the diversity thought comes, it's an easy win is to build in the diversity through the experiences people have. So when I recruit a woman, she comes from a different background, she brings that perspective. When I hire an African-American gentleman, that's a different perspective I get. When I hire a Hispanic person, it's a different perspective again. So different cultures, thought process, that makes the conversation richer. You're not just problem solving in a way, you are elevating the problem and solving to a next level. So that gives me a success. So it's like a capitalistic response, but I think it makes good business. So
no, I love it.
If the leaders were to realize that, hey, I'm not doing this as a favor to check a box of I'm hiring a woman. No, I am bringing in diversity of thought, which will improve my decision making. And it is not just a statement, right? It's the fact. We have data which shows where there's diversity, the organizations do well, the shareholders get benefited. So we are creating that value. So there is data which supports it. So I think it is that messaging, that experience with the existing leaders, women or men, to say, hey, take an opportunity. The higher the chance, the higher the risk, the higher the reward, and higher the gratitude and the satisfaction.
Yeah, that fulfillment is really powerful, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. I think it's about, you always start with representation. You start there, right? Because that changes the dialogue, it changes the look and feel of the room.
Correct.
But once you have that representation, or you've built those building blocks, it's about creating the right environment where that representation can shine.
Correct.
Which you're speaking to.
Correct.
And as it starts shining, have we created the narrative as well as connected the dots to how the business will flourish, prosper, and add sustained value through this, right? And that's the deeper line of sight over there.
Yep.
Beautiful. I think my last question for you, Prathima, is looking back, what would you do differently?
I think I've made the statement already before, which is I would vocalize what I want, what I look for. I also we always say find a purpose, because that keeps you going on the good days as well on the bad days. And sometimes it is difficult to find that why. Why am I doing this work? And what I found is, who am I doing this work for?
Yeah.
So that also kind of helped to find those things, right? So, and I advise people when they're looking to say, hey, why? Find the why so that you show up. You don't drop off from the workforce just because you're a child. There is a way you can make it work. It's not, dropping off is not a wrong thing, but still there's an opportunity to see, can you make it work? Similarly, who are you doing this for? How do you want your daughter to grow up in this world? What kind of life do you want her to have? And instead of telling, hey, you can achieve, let me show me trying for my dreams, which will make her not think, but expect or assume to be this, right? So I think instead of trying to say reach for your dreams, you try reaching for your dreams and set that example at home and at workplace, at your family, extended family, and your teams.
So vocalize and role model. Beautiful. It's been wonderful chatting with you, Prathima. Thank you so much for spending the time. I think if there are any questions that we do receive as we go along, I think it will be a wonderful conversation to have as a part 2 as well as we move ahead.
Great privilege and honor to answer any follow-up questions.
Beautiful.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.